Hi everyone, welcome back to Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics. Another German automobile, it's not English, 2013 Mini Cooper. What's the customer complaint? You might say, did the engine blow up? Actually, yes, well it did, but he already had it replaced at 85,000 miles. That's classic. It's a turbo. But the customer complaint is, he can't open the trunk. So, push the button, nothing happens, can't open it from the fob, and he says when you start driving, the little info display says the trunk is open. So he brought it over here, he wants us to figure out how to open this trunk. So when you start rolling, you get this little icon, and full code scan. There is a code in the safety gateway module or the junction box electronics, central locking drive, rear lid problem. Okay, so we do have a code. Let's pull in the shop and get a wiring diagram for this thing. See how this trunk is wired up. Obviously it's an electric release. While we're here with the scanner, I'm wondering if we can manually or bidirectionally command this trunk on. So if we go to junction box electronics, okay, in data stream, central locking, okay, let's select all. So it's going to say active, not active, operated, clubman, or coupe. So it says right now contact rear lid coupe open. What if we open the driver's door? Is there a... No, this is strictly for the rear, for the lift gate. So is there a button? Button rear lid coupe not operated. Let's go push the button and see if the button works on the scanner. So I'm going to focus you in on that. I'm going to push the button. It says operated. Drive rear lid, active, not active. Active, not active. So it's trying. It sees the button, but obviously nothing is happening to the liftgate. Interesting. Under actuation test, central locking system, boot lid lock. Activation for 1 second. Let's try that. Activation finished. So nothing happened there. Let's pull in the shop, get some wiring diagrams. Okay, so I got some information pulled up, both the OE and the non-OE diagrams. Let's start with the non-OE because they're all in one page. You don't have to go through pages and pages of diagrams. So I printed that off. And first let's locate the actual trunk release motor and latch system. So right here, center rear of trunk, lid locking drive. So we have 4 pins. It looks like there's a motor, and that is power side switched and grounded right here. And then we have 2 more wires, interior lights, and then this gray and brown. So when the door is closed, this is the default position for the switch. So this wire right here on pin 4, this gray and brown, has to be the sense wire for the module to know when the trunk is closed. Okay, so that is, it's fussing about that, and we cannot get this motor to activate or work. Where do these wires go? They go right to our junction box right kick panel. That's the one we were talking to on the scanner. It's electronics junction box, or JBE. And then connector X11002. So here are the 2 wires we're interested in. Pin 50 is the gray and brown, that's the sense wire. Then pin 24, blue and red, that's the activation wire going to here. Now let's see, the activation wire, let's be careful, is the gray and green. That's pin 6. Pin 6 comes over here, gray and green, so pin 43 would be the activation wire. Pin 24 goes to our little push button. Now when we push the button on the scanner, that data pin did change, so I'm not worried about the button whatsoever. That circuit is fine. I'm worried about the sense circuit and the actual electric drive power feed. So pins 50 and 43, and here is the connector view of this, which one was it? X11002. So I marked that up. This is 43. Tail motor open, and then pin 50 is the sense tail ajar. So this is where I want to go first. This fuse box, and find this connector. Take at least a visual inspection of it. I mean, it lives right here, bright kick panel, and this connector X11002 is all the way at the bottom. So, you know, German cars and sunroofs, you get a little drainage down that pillar, you could get into the fuse box, and that connector is the lowest one. So that's the first thing you want to do, is just do a visual inspection on this fuse box and that connector. Alright, so peeled back this trim piece, and here's our fuse box. This is our connector that we're worried about. Let's just unplug it. If I can do that one-handed. Here we go. I have to unplug this one as well. Okay, so far I don't see any green crusties on the pins. I'm going to do a quick, more careful inspection with a mirror. And we'll plug it in, and when we take this cover off, we can actually probe these wires and see if we can manipulate these to make the car happy, and then we'll go towards the rear of the car if the problem's back there. So in this connector, I pulled out half of it. Just want to locate our wires. So the gray and brown on pin 50, and the gray and green on pin 40, 1, 2, 3. So 43 and 50 is our tail motor open and tail sense. So I'm going to probe those wires, plug everything back in, so then we'll have access to do the voltage measurements here, and also pull the circuit up or down and see how the computer, or this junction box, responds on scan data. Something else I thought about. So nothing wrong with the fuse box or the pins or anything like that. What is this vehicle used for? Well, the owner, she uses it for a cleaning business, so the trunk is always open and closed, open and closed, open and closed, like 100 times a day. What's the most wear and tear item on a liftgate? The wiring flex. That makes perfect sense. So I don't know how I'm going to get this tailgate open to check the wiring flex. I want to do that first before, you know, piercing wires or probing wires or doing anything intrusive. We have to get this tailgate open. At least we can probe the motor open wire, and when we activate it with the scanner or the button, I want to see a test light light up brightly, so we're 100% sure that there's no issue here. I guess we should start with that to rule that out, because it might be a lot of work to try to get this trunk open, because the motor lives, you know, by the latch, so you have to get that panel off with the trunk closed. That should be fun. Okay, so here's the setup. I have good power and ground right here coming from the battery, and then I have those two wires back probe, the gray and brown, gray and green, and live scan data, contact rear lid. So right now it thinks it's open, and when this wire is pulled down the ground, it should say closed. So the gray and brown right now I bet is not pulled down the ground, so I'm going to pull it down the ground with my test light. Gray and brown, so I'm pulling it down, boom, right there. So that's proof that the circuit in the junction box is perfect. That wire is not being pulled down to ground at the actual latch in the trunk. Okay, now let's plug in the test light from ground to the other wire, and when we say open boot lid on the scanner, that test light should light up. So bidirectional controls. We can even press the trunk button. Let's make sure the system works as intended. So I'm going to focus you in on the test light, and I want to see it from the back as well. When I push the trunk button, I'm just going to put it right here. We'll see if that lights up when I try to open the trunk. Yes. So try to open the trunk, so there's nothing wrong with our fuse box or the wires coming out of the fuse box or the connector. That was absolutely key to prove, and it didn't take long before we go and try to open this trunk manually. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I was trying to remove this panel, and then I saw that the latch mechanism is actually part of the body of the car, not on the trunk lid. So the flex wire situation wouldn't make sense. So I'm trying to lift off this panel and see if we can get to this motor. Here it is, and that's it, we're done. Rodent damage, whole bunch of wires chewed through right there. So let's fix this up. We can even manually energize the trunk, whatever. So we're done with the diagnosis. Rodent damage in the trunk. How weird is that? You see any droppings? Alright, well, that's it for this Mini Cooper. Let's get this trunk open. So the path of least resistance to get this trunk open is just to connect that chewed gray and green wire with a fuse jumper. That's this one right here. So it's chewed right there. Let's see if it opens. Ta-da! Fantastic. Now we can do the repairs and send this car back to its happy owner. Okay, we're doing a quick and efficient wiring repair with the TS100 soldering iron. All 4 wires. I cut out the bad sections, and actually the harness is long enough, didn't have to extend anything. Just solder these wires together with some shrink wrap. Should be as good as new. We'll wrap it up. I wish I had some of that. I might have some Honda peppermint tape somewhere to prevent future rodent infestation or chewing. So let's make sure everything works. Should be good to go. So a viewer sent me some of this Tessa harness tape. I don't know if this is the rodent proof type, but it is, looks like beefier than electrical tape. So let's wrap this sucker up. Plug everything in, clear the codes out, make sure the trunk works as designed. Alright, let's quickly check the trunk. So we're going to latch it like that. Okay, something happened there. That's good. We push the button. Nice. And the interior trunk light works. So that's a bonus. Alright, let's take this thing on a test drive. Nice. So before shipping this thing, we'll do a courtesy check. Let's check the engine oil. Looks like it's quite low, maybe a quart low. Let's check the coolant. I don't see anything in the bottle. Oh, come on, people. I guess they don't care if their second engine blows up, huh? There's a little bit in there. It's not OEM blue, it's just universal. Level's really low. Let's top off the coolant and make sure this thing runs okay. So I'm just going to add universal coolant because apparently that's what's in here. Maybe a quart. You should be right at the line. Alright, that's fine. Yep. Let's top off the oil as well. So Mini recommends 5W30. That's what we're going to use. Full synthetic, of course. I guess these engines consume some oil. Should be good enough. That's better. Up near the full mark. Alright, let's clear out all the DTCs. ABS has one code for disc brake pad wear indicator front brake pad. Okay, owner is aware of that. Let's take it for a spin. Let's see how this thing accelerates. I don't want to blow it up, so we're not going to go too hard on it. Hey, it's got some boost. But apparently this replacement engine is an oil burner because the oil change sticker says it's due at 91,000. We're only at 86. So the oil was changed not too long ago. And it was already a quart low. So it's burning at least a quart every 1,000 miles. When the owner started up in the morning, you can see some blue smoke. So I don't know. I'm going to tell him, hey, you have to check the engine oil like religiously every week or something, especially if this car is used as a work car. But that's it. Trunk is fixed. Customer complaint addressed. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.